couldn't piss in the cup, and they're like, it was crazy. They're like, you have everything in your system except for, there was this one drug that wasn't in my system. Everything else, it lit up, you know what I mean? And I was in jail, literally the next day to go to jail to clean me up. But I remember just going before the Lord, and He took me as I was, and He began to work with me, If I would have tried to got clean on my own, it wouldn't have happened, I'd have got out and went back to the same thing. The Lord takes us as we are, and works with us, and David just knows the Lord so well, the next verse 5, it says, commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. So, He's kind of going on the desires of your heart still. So, when you commit your way to the Lord, as well as, as you're getting to know Him and you commit your way to Him, you are a servant. You're naturally wanting to do things that you didn't want to do before. And also, it's a different way. You're now running and bumping heads with Satan rather than going the same way as him. You're committing your way, you're committing to the life, to Jesus Christ. And that's against the world's standards. It's different. The world lives a different way. It's plain and simple. Christ was basically, revolutionary when He came into that time. Because He was just, preached love, and He hung out with the sinners and people like us. He was walking around, hey, you, the fishermen, tax collectors, prostitutes, walking around with this herd of, people, and these, rich, Pharisee church people are like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're the Messiah, hanging out with those guys. But that's what He said. He didn't come to, He came to heal the sick, the people who are in need, the people who want Him, the people who want to get to know Him, they're the ones that Jesus came for, and He yearned for these people. He stuck up for these people, each and every one of them, He has our backs, We think of someone, one of our friends who would take a bullet for us, or people, in war that someone has, took a bullet for their friend or whatever. You talk about your ultimate friend or homie that, would die for you. Jesus did that. And not only did He do that so that we could have life and have it more abundantly on earth here, but we got eternal life. We live twice and die once, Once we die, we are immediately, to be absent from the body, Paul says, is to be present with the Lord. And that's for eternity, It's not floating on some cloud and playing a harp, singing a song forever. It's just real as it is right now, but with no sin, no nothing, but just everything more beautiful, more awesome, no sin, no death, you, any friends or family that's up there with you, eternity. You have all kinds of people who get to know from whoever, you think about it, and just the awesomeness, I just think of the potential of how awesome it could be, you know what I mean? Because just living forever is just mind-boggling, having no end, being outside of time, because God created time, so we're going to be outside of time once this whole thing's over, and it's just cool, man, to think that we're immortal. When we become born again and we are a child of God, we have His help here on earth, and whenever it's our time, we're immediately with God. We're with Him forever, in paradise, paradise. The one who created all of this, the one who sent His only Son to die for us. Can you imagine the places that He has prepared for us, like Jesus talked about? He's all, if you only knew the many mansions my Father has for you, it's going to be awesome, And the flip side is crappy. When I read about it, it's not good, There's no in between, So just commit your way to the Lord, Trust in Him, and He shall bring it to pass, And this next part is really important too. At let's get down to verse 7. It says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. And, it says, do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because someone else, say he might not be saved, or even if he is saved, something is happening, and this guy, things are just going for him. Everything he does touches the gold, It's saying, what you're asking of